the day the rains came and kept coming until a downpour became a disaster. Floodwaters so severe they washed away previous records and tore apart homes and families.
For San Antonio and neighboring towns, it was a day of hell and high water, a day South Texas will long remember and that many can never forget.
Hello, I'm Jeff Brady.
And I'm Ursula Perry. It began as a cloudy but quiet Saturday. Yet before the day was done, it would be a day unlike any San Antonio and much of South Texas had ever seen. A stunning record rainfall, the trigger for deadly and devastating floods.
It's a story of great tragedy, but as with every tragedy, there are also heroes. These are the stories left behind in the wake of the great '98 flood. The victims, the heroes, the survivors.
The pictures tell the tragic story of the great '98 flood. Hundreds of homes soaked and beaten, and hundreds more simply gone. The possessions and belongings of a lifetime washed away. Families mourning loved ones killed by the merciless flood. From San Antonio to Seguin, from Cibolo to Cuero, New Braunfels down to Victoria. Across 24 Texas counties, the pictures and the story were the same. Neighborhoods ravaged, entire towns drowned, lives simply torn apart. To those who witnessed it, suffered from it, and lived through it, there is no doubt. This was quite simply one of the worst natural disasters Texas has ever endured.
The first signs of the flood's deadly and damaging impact came here in San Antonio and in surrounding communities. The rain poured down for hours, as much as 27 inches measured in some places. And even before the rain stopped, the flooding started, first in local creeks and low water crossings. Dozens of vehicles trapped in the fast rising waters, cars and homes washed away, lives lost. It was devastating and tragic, but only a sign of the disaster ahead. This is how KSAT 12 news reporters and photographers covered the catastrophe and the heroism as the flood rushed through.
Day arrives in a driving rain. And before long, the rain is about the only thing still driving. Water rises fast, swamping countless vehicles. Here it is several feet high, and this is a highway.
You live right around here. You ever seen this do this right here?
Not this bad. No, I've never seen it flood this bad.
On streets and in water crossings, the flooding is even higher and far more dangerous. Cars dead in the water become islands, their drivers castaways in troubled waters. Rescue crews man boats to save lives, but in some places the water is too strong and too fast.
A wall of water apparently hit his vehicle and pushed him into some barricades, pushed him into some railroad ties or something over here. And he tried to get out through the window. He got trapped and he drowned.
By afternoon, this is the view from the air. A disaster in the making. Floodwaters rising and more rain falling. Some people gather to see what they probably thought they never would. Highway 281 underwater, closed. As the rains continue, the water and fear rise in an East Side neighborhood. A couple watches from their porch as the flooding inches closer. Residents wade through the threatening waters, waiting for the worst.
I wonder why you get an $80,000 house so much as nothing. This is it.
Across town, more flooding and more concern. A nearby creek is out of its banks, out of control. Firefighters move in to rescue trapped residents.
Use our boat to go out and retrieve the two gentlemen that were on the second floor of a house that had the first floor entirely flooded.
In and around San Antonio, every creek, every low water crossing is a danger zone. The flooding taking dead aim at anything in its path.
I've lived in San Antonio on and off since 1980, and this is the worst. I think I've seen it flood before, but this is probably the worst.
I only have one thing to say, and this city needs to work on its drainage problem.
In San Antonio today, already at least 2 dead, and the death toll, like the floodwaters, is rising. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
An alarming scene just inside Loop 410 today at Perrin Bidle and Briar Glen Drive. One stop and go gone, washed away by a rising Salado Creek, leaving gas pumps ripped up, street signs toppled, and neighbors in awe.
Passed by here about 3:45, and the store and the road was open. And now, look, I can't believe it's stopping to go. It's gone.
Most of it, at least, leaving lots of tempting loot in the parking lot. Some passers-by just couldn't resist.
I don't care.
The current so strong here at high tide, it washed some cars from the convenience store parking lot down into the creek and blew out a brick wall on a nearby apartment complex. Evidence of Mother Nature stopping for no one and going just where she wants.
Golly, I just can't believe it. San Antonio is just flooded all the way around.
In the Willowwood neighborhood, hundreds of people evacuated jet skis, their only way out. Not by emergency crews, but by fellow neighbors lending their own personal watercraft to rescue men, women, children, even pets.
We took out probably 30 kids, probably 20 senior citizens, and I guess 80, 90 people are young kids and young adults.
It was a mission of mercy some residents believe was caused by the city itself.
That almost flood down, they claim it don't have nothing to do with it, but within an hour's time after they opened that flood zone, we was under the water. You know what I mean? And after 23 years and this ain't never happened, hey, that water coming from somewhere.
Dozens of homes flooded by fast-rising floodwaters that seemed to come out of nowhere.
When I opened the door the water just pushed it open. Waist high when I come out, and we start trying to get the older people, then the women, and then the kids out of here, and it's been a real tough task.
It was a frightening night for everyone involved. Some people stranded by floodwaters reportedly filled with snakes.
Yeah, with snakes and all the tadpoles and fish and frogs, all of that alligators.
At the nearby KOA campgrounds, a similar story. An estimated 50 mobile homes and RVs swept away.
I was trying to get back over here to see if I could get it out at that time, but when I got here, the thing was over on its side, completely covered with water.
The Luna family stares at the very creek where disaster struck yesterday.
They took their car, and their mom and dad were hanging on a tree.
Swept away 6-year-old Miguel Jr.
Just waiting and praying.
Waiting and praying, all the family can do right now as the search continues.
We had a customs chopper up in the air. A couple of our emergency service unit members, we went down for about a mile, searched back up for a mile, crossed the stream. Right now, the chopper went to go refuel for gas.
Rescuers take a break, waiting for the water to go down. Miguel missing since 3 o'clock yesterday.
To be honest with you, it doesn't look good. There's a lot of cactus, a lot of fences and stuff out there. I don't think there's much chance.
This family is accepting that fact, but says they're still holding on to a hope Miguel will be found.
Water up to the windows, debris stacked 4 feet high against the fence. This is a flood like Lou and Alice Henry have never seen, and they've lived in Selma for almost 2 decades. Their home, a total loss.
It's all damaged, and it would cost more to fix it up, I think, than to replace it.
Many of their belongings are gone, some of it just down the street. From barbecue grills to their boat, they slowly recover what they can and count their blessings.
We're all healthy and fine. We didn't lose anybody, and that's a blessing. But I don't know where we start over.
There'll be time to worry about that later. For now, they're too busy just cleaning up and sorting things out. Further downstream from the Henrys, an angry Cibolo Creek takes a swipe at another neighborhood, this one just outside Schertz. The people living in these mobile homes just now returning to assess damage. When the water started rising, they got out.
Right after it got in the front yard, we all decided it was time to leave, which I think it was. Up and down the creek, fences are down, debris scattered everywhere.
You think of water, you know, you go inside and you have mud and water, but out here, it's just everybody's trash and trash cans and everything.
Cleaning up that mess at this point of worry, but not as big a worry, is whether or not this creek will stay in her banks. Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
It's taking everything this boat has to fight the strong flood currents. 5 people pulled from a sinking boat trying to escape the flood are brought to the arms of worried loved ones by worn-out volunteers.
We've been out here since midnight, and we've had probably a 10-minute break so far, but it's worth it.
Toughest part right here. Getting wet, going in, cold water, but it's worth it.
Fire and police radios are crackling with emergency calls. This truck is serving as a barricade on Highway 87 to turn people back. It's one of the few places in town that is not underwater. Overnight, officials begin to wake up people in the path of the flood. Some just barely make it out as the water comes rushing up.
There was a wall of foam come through there first, and then all of a sudden the water just came up, like 3 foot fast. Because it came up to the top of my hood that quick. It was unbelievable how fast the water came up.
Some don't get out, sitting out the night in flooded homes waiting for rescue as loved ones wait for word.
And we've been worried about my mother-in-law falling off because everything they tried seemed to fall apart, but they're good Christian people. And I get choked.
Eventually, his prayers are answered. With all this devastation, Wilson County reports no major injuries or deaths. In Lavernia, Lee Dunkelberg, KSAT 12 News.
My mom was getting in the shower, and I noticed it had been raining on and off and going kind of high in the back, but I figured nothing would happen. And then it just started flooding in our house and everything.
This makeshift river showing no mercy, not to this parking lot, and not to these apartments.
It was raining real hard, and we looked at the back door, and it was starting to come up to the back door, and then all of a sudden just a wall of water come up there and knocked the complete back door out.
The Byrne family had just moved into the El Chaparral apartments. Today they got a new roommate, Mother Nature, crashing through the back door.
Brand new furniture I just bought, still paying on it.
Next door, same story. The door after that, the same as well.
All there was water and trash everywhere. There was about 1.5 foot of water inside the place, and everything that we had was just demolished.
We got most of the electronic stuff upstairs and saved it, but all our couches and everything's ruined.
From mailboxes lifted right out of concrete to cars swept away like sticks to rooftops no longer topping anything, the flood of '98 on the east side.
I had to remodel this whole thing inside, so it's all gone now.
Never in my life have I ever experienced anything like this.
Saturday's floodwaters washing away homes, washing away everything. That's not your car.
No.
Do you know whose it is?
No, it washed from someplace else.
In a matter of 20 minutes to an hour, water was actually really anywhere from knee to up to my waist high, inside.
And within minutes, it was this high. James Holt, his wife, his mother-in-law, escaping only with the clothes on their backs. What were you thinking the whole time?
Lord, bless me to get out of here.
And James seems to be echoing the feeling most have around here. Residents returning to nothing, but thankful for their lives. Michelle Lima, KSAT 12 News.
Rescue crews raft through Comanche Park Creek waters, not far from where the family had prayed.
And Lord, we're asking in Jesus' name that you lead us to our family, God.
A metal detector indicates something. The clinking sound and a subtle look. Divers find the missing family's Lincoln Town Car 10 feet deep. The despair deeper still. Overwhelmed, Justin Hartman collapses. The bodies of his fiancée and 10-week-old baby daughter Mallory have just been found.
We just want to take her home.
The family was headed home from a celebration, a wedding, when powerful floodwater swept and swallowed them up. A rescuer had seen the car go under, heard a woman screaming, but the car had vanished. Charles Ellis used to fish here with his lifelong friend, Richard Hartman. Now, he just stares.
See if I could see him come up or just, I knew he had to be in there somewhere.
As the bodies are recovered, one more prayer. Rescue divers stand on the banks and bow their heads. After 5 days, the agonizing search is over. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
So many towns took a brutal beating from those floodwaters, but nowhere was the damage worse than in New Braunfels, a city that has literally built its hopes and dreams on the waters of the Guadalupe River suddenly felt that river's wrath. It happened with stunning speed and terrible consequences. A look now at some of the stories KSAT 12 News reporters and photographers found in the aftermath of New Braunfels Nightmare.
New Braunfels cleaning up, but Mother Nature not cooperating. In the middle of the downpour, the cleanup of what the Guadalupe and Comal rivers clobbered. Buried in the trash and muck are memories and homes for the lucky. For others like Mary Causey, all that's left of her house is its front stairs.
That is a stairway going nowhere right now.
The rest of Mary's house was swept downstream. Built on stilts, it was supposed to be able to withstand a hurricane. It couldn't stand up to the flood of '98.
Well, you can keep looking at it, but it's still hard to believe. You see this, it looks like a bomb went off or something, or a tornado. You see this on the news, but when you're seeing it firsthand, it's a little bit different.
You look over this way and it's not there anymore.
They've seen their beauty and now their fury. Those who live along the Guadalupe and Comal rivers spent this day cleaning and searching. For people like Linda Coble, whose home was completely swept away, any little discovery is huge.
That's one of my elephants.
There's no way I could explain what I felt when I saw this slab. It's just like, how can it be all gone?
Even those who still have a structure are cleaning out their homes this day, thankful for the volunteers who run the dozers and the brooms, but unsure of what lies ahead.
Well, I gotta say one thing, the Lord always has something for you. So I believe that. And with that in my mind, I just believe these young people and this help, Lord, it can't get any better.
We are looking for memories, just things that are our life.
The flooded out areas of these rivers are under curfew again tonight, protected from looters. And there have been some. People who apparently have no problem taking from those who have very little left. In New Braunfels, Steve Spriester, KSAT 12 News.
We know it as a place to play.
Country of 1100 Springs.
Peaceful and clear this day, but nearby, evidence of a torrent that took out a parking lot, buses, and campgrounds at Rock-and-R and Green. They are burning what's left.
How in the world are they going to get that out of there?
At the Highway 46 bridge, a mountain rises from the river. It's a dump of decks and docks, too many appliances to count, tires, tubes, a stock trailer, trees, brush, and boats. And here's a house with a huge bite taken out of it next to a foundation wiped clean. But wait, there's more, as we count clean slabs in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
This is I-35 over the Guadalupe River, and you can see a giant shredding machine at work.
A giant grinder is making mulch, and lots of it. Stacks of firewood are beginning to pile up, too, offering proof that those who were down under the water are not down for the count. From Sky 12, Sue Calberg, KSAT 12 News.
Looking for my buried treasure.
4 days after they were flooded out, the search on the banks of the Guadalupe is still on.
You find little bitty crystal objects totally intact, but yet the lawnmower mangled.
Judy Flanagan uses a shovel to try and find anything in the rubble that was her home. Steve and Kelly Dean also lost their home, but were helped today by a crane. Helped to get their crushed car out of the river.
Seeing my car, I started crying initially.
When I first got here, I was hoping it would wash down river so we wouldn't have to see it. It's a shame, but it's replaceable, and at least we got out.
All they found, a couple of CDs and a Maxima full of muck.
It's pretty devastating, but we'll pick up the pieces and go from here.
This area. Rock-and-R river rides ravaged. For anyone who's ever taken a tube down the Guadalupe, this should be familiar in location, if not in scenery. Rock-and-R's owner is on a cruise. He'll come back to find crushed buses, hidden vans, most of his buildings destroyed, and a piece of pavement far from where the rubber meets the road.
Looking for things. Just looking for what's left in the house before they probably mow it down.
At the Sleepy Hollow subdivision, Mother Nature delivered a knockout punch. This is Dick Carroll's home.
The roof on this house, I think, raised up and came back down.
The Guadalupe straightened out at this bend and went right through nearly all the homes here. Dick had to clear a path just to reach what's left of his front door.
Catastrophe. It was more than I expected with vehicles in the. I expected it to be bad, but not this bad.
All is saved. No, we just need help.
Well, we got help coming.
One of the state's most beautiful spots, scarred. With promises of federal money, Governor George Bush tours New Braunfels' hardest-hit areas from the ground and in the air. He is asking for federal help in 20 Texas counties, spending an hour and a half talking and comforting those who lost almost everything.
Oh, it's a terrible moment. God works in mysterious ways. Our prayers are with everybody in this part of the state.
It's nice to have a hug from him. Just knows that somebody else cares and that he cares.
New Braunfels senior Melissa Blaylock walked with the governor, a man who says he came to the banks of the Guadalupe to offer help and hope.
Just introduce myself and tell him that I knew somebody that he knew.
So now you're his escort, right?
She's gonna take me and introduce me, show me her house. I want to meet her mother and dad.
The governor called this the worst disaster he's seen since he's been in office. And as he walked through what the Guadalupe River washed away, others were still trying to find pieces of their lives.
The part of my life is gone. And we don't have insurance. I don't know what we're gonna do.
The brick fireplace, all that's left of Maria Daitan's home. Others found their belongings strewn miles down the Guadalupe River. Like many victims, Fred and Mary Lee Maxwell's life, like their car, has been turned upside down.
At first, we're just happy to be alive. Then we started crying about the stuff that we've lost. And the longer it goes on, the less you can sleep at night.
It's hard to imagine how swift and powerful the current of the river was to do the damage it did.
With help on the way, New Braunfels tries to heal. Steve Spriester, KSAT 12 News.
As the floodwaters left a stunned and battered New Braunfels in their wake, they next took dead aim on Seguin, downstream and right in the path of the mile-wide monster the Guadalupe River had become. And again, the flood brought damage, heartbreak, and death. Now the images and stories from flood-ravaged Seguin.
Mother Nature skips from home to home in Seguin, flattening some, leaving others standing.
What happened, it all got at flood. All these houses were underwater.
And here's what's left. Just look inside. And look here. This was a bedroom. This, a bathroom. Mud everywhere, seeping through this toolbox. People use tractors and wheelbarrows to clean up, wondering when help will come.
We haven't seen any kind of help yet.
Well, we need volunteers from wherever. If they're dry and we're wet, please come and help them.
Another problem, water contamination. People come here to this HEB relief site for drinking water.
We don't have any drinking water. We don't have any water to bathe, to wash up, to clean up. It's gotten really bad.
And it could be going from bad to even worse. There are reports of looting in Seguin. The National Guard is here to try to keep things under control, while residents try to pick up what they can.
Found stuff down by the river. It's washed away, so I'm just picking through here for keepsakes and mementos.
It is big, bad, and ugly. The Guadalupe River turned liquid monster. Look closer, debris. It looks like a landfill, but the pile is the house that was once home on top of this slab. This is the sky view near Seguin. Homes pancaked, obliterated, or just gone, washed off their foundations. A double wide snapped in two by the weight of the water. National Guardsmen patrol what looks like a war zone. And look closely at that rooftop. That's a cow. The mud is thick as the emotions. This was home for Sandy Allman, who got out with all she could think to grab.
2 microwaves and a love seat and a chair. And I didn't even think about getting my clothes. All my clothes was left.
Tears flow where the Guadalupe went wild. Mounds of debris, piles of boats tossed on end. The water so powerful it ripped off brick veneers and wiped this entire house off its foundation. The toilet, too.
Hundreds of homes are ruined top to bottom. Take a look at the ceiling up there. That's the insulation dripping
On the floor, take a look. Mud, ankle deep in mud. It is a day for cleansing, stuff, and soul.
I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for her. So I didn't go to school today, so I'm over here helping her. And I'll keep helping until she gets it done.
That will take time and faith.
Well, the Lord's watched out for me all these years, and He's not about to quit now.
The mud they can wash away, and memories, this community is making new ones. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Lifting debris, dealing with mounds of mud, throwing out damaged furniture. It's the never-ending work these volunteers have been tackling for a week and a half.
Until you walk in the front door of a house that's still full of furniture, still full of mud. That's when it hits you. Pictures everywhere, appliances turned upside down. That's when the realization of the violence of the river hits you.
It's hit the owner of this home so hard. Her brother says emotionally it's too difficult for her to be here.
With the water damage, the silt and the mud, and then probably some raw sewage being mixed in with it and stuff. It's not a pleasant thing.
And now within 2 or 3 weeks, many of the homes in these neighborhoods are coming down. They can never be lived in again. Demolition crews are already at work in some areas of Seguin. Mother Nature did the demolition here. 3 slabs remain where houses used to stand. One of the houses ending up in this front yard.
We've got at least 13 river communities, and every one of them got substantial damage. Some houses are gone, some were filled with water.
This house is coming down too. Once a home, now just a damaged structure. Nancy Gonzalez, KSAT 12 News.
To many people, it seemed the record rains that day came out of nowhere. But in fact, our Steve Brown warned us the night before there could be big trouble on the way.
But what exactly happened to cause such a disastrous rainfall eruption that day? Just how much rain did we get? And how many records were washed away? Steve Brown now with the answers.
A lot of people have asked me what the ingredients were that made the big flood 1998 a reality, and there really isn't any single ingredient that you can point your finger at. They're actually a combination of ingredients. Number one, a powerful cold front coming in from the west. Not too unusual, we get these in October. This cold front was a little bit extra strong, and it also was moving very slowly. Ingredient number two, again, this is not too unusual, Gulf moisture coming in off the Gulf of Mexico. This was a little bit unique because the Gulf of Mexico was extra warm this October. That because of the hot, dry summer we had, and water temperatures were still in the low to mid 80s out here in the surf off of Corpus Christi. So a little bit extra warm, a little bit extra moist. But the third ingredient was a Pacific hurricane named Madeline, and this was icing on the cake. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, as all 3 ingredients, the slow-moving cold front, the Gulf moisture from the extra warm water, and the moisture from the Pacific hurricane all converged right on South Texas, particularly between San Antonio, New Braunfels, Austin, out toward College Station, unleashing anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of rain, just unprecedented in weather records. Taking a look from outer space, there's Hurricane Madeline. That's what it looked like. You can see the moisture coming up across Texas, but really from this wide shot where you look at the entire Earth, nothing looks too earth-shattering here, but the moisture from Madeline definitely beaming up in on South Texas. What was incredible were the rainfall records, and just keep in mind, we've been keeping records in San Antonio since 1885, so these records go back a long time. The one-day rainfall record, the old record was almost 7 inches. It was set way back 1921, September 9th. The new record, October 17th, 1998, over 11 inches. That just shattered that one-day rainfall record. The 24-hour rain record, this is a little bit different. It sounds the same, but it's a little bit different because this may go over 2 days from like 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the next day. The old record, just a little bit more than 7 inches in 1973. The new record, almost double that amount, 13 1/3 inches, October 17th, 1998, 17th and 18th. And for the month of October, it turned out to be the rainiest ever recorded in San Antonio. The previous rainiest month ever was September 1946, over 15 inches of rain. The new record, 18 inches of rain, October 1998. So these records go down in the weather book here as something we will not soon forget. And it was a combination of ingredients that caused the big flood. Hopefully, it's a combination of ingredients that we won't see again for a long time.